How do you make an old thing new? I think if you found the secret to this in yourself, that you could be happy your whole life. I really believe this. The reason I'm thinking about this today is because there's one thing that I've been doing in my life longer than probably anything else. It's probably music. I started about 13 years ago. And I was obsessed with it, effortlessly invested, always playing every chance I got, always sharing every chance I got, writing new songs, and finding people to play them to. It was a simple joy, and it never seemed to get old for years and years. And I became known as someone who did this effortlessly. It was very simply a part of my identity. When you've been doing something for that long, you run into very many times the opportunity to lose your love for it. It has many, many chances to become too repetitive. It has many chances to let you down. And things will let you down the longer that you are involved with them. Things and people, and even ideas. The longer you have them, the more breaks in the pleasure you got from them you will find. And eventually you run the risk of letting something get dry, get gray, get repetitive, get boring. Maybe it stops paying off in the same way that it used to. You stop getting the same highs from performing, the same highs from finishing a song. This could be anything, right? This could be art, this could be writing, poetry, it could be a sport, it could be any hobby, it could be a game. You're gonna get to a point where you realize it doesn't hit the same way it did on the first days of getting to know it, of falling in love with it. There's a honeymoon stage for probably anything, and that's the stage where the learning curve is fun and it's flowing, and day to day you can see the progress, and it feels new, and it brings something new to your life. Well, I'll tell you this, probably a big part of the reason you first fell in love with something is because it brought something new to your life, and it added something to your life. From this, we get a very simple solution to the problem at hand, and that is, in the same way it brought something to your life, you need to bring something to it. So it brought something new, and then your life was different, but then it became a part of your life. And as you forget and forget and forget the life that you had before it, as it gets further into the past, it becomes normal. It feels like, oh, well, this has always been here. And as soon as that happens, it is now a part of your life. And in order to get that spark of something new, you must bring in something new. And so what I'm here to say is you don't need a new hobby, though that's fine. You need a new approach to the thing you are doing. You need a spin on it. You need a fresh perspective. There is nothing in this world that can become so repetitive and so familiar that there is nothing new to bring to it. For you could never run out of possible combinations of thoughts, ideas, and applications regarding any one thing. There is a way to do what you are doing in a way that you've never thought of doing it before. I promise you. Anything that you're doing, there is a way to do it that you haven't thought to do before. And it's probably going to have to do with stepping away. Like, discovering this is going to have something to do with stepping away from it, going and working on something else for a while, distancing yourself from the thing, perhaps, and then bringing new perspectives from your new pursuits back. So if you're a musician and you've just been a musician for years and you're running out of ideas or you're running out of juice, go be a visual artist for a little bit. You can suck at it, it's okay. But go learn the art of dividing a blank canvas into new shapes. And when you come back to dividing a silence with new sounds, you will have a new way to do so from the time you spent with a brush or pencil or pen in hand. Another way to discover newness is to involve somebody else, is to collaborate. Take a halfway finished something and give it to someone else and say, hey, finish this, will you? Offer to finish something of theirs. When you're done, trade back. They can call it done or they can keep working on it, and vice versa. Or get a fresh perspective. Have somebody listen to what you're doing that you've never had listen to it before. Ask an expert, somebody who is better than you. Ask them what they think about what you're doing. Ask a novice what they think about what you're doing. Ask somebody who doesn't typically care about what you're doing, what they think about what you're doing. Experience it in a different place. Perform it, display it in a different place. Teach it to somebody. Add any new variable to what you're doing. Just anything. Just be willing to bring in a new thing. Use a different tool to do the same things. Use a different instrument to play the same song. Play that game you've been playing as if you didn't care about it. Or do everything wrong on purpose. Make all the wrong moves. Put a limitation on yourself to see if you can get the same results with more limited tools. Make things harder on yourself. Or ask yourself if there's a way to make things easier on yourself. Maybe your workflow needs changed. Change the lighting when you do whatever activity. Are you listening to music? Do it without listening to music. Do you usually do it in silence? Do it while listening to music. Put a show on in the background. Do it for a smaller amount of time. If you used to work on this thing for an hour a day, work on it for 20 minutes a day, and then do something different with your day. Or double the time, or quadruple the time that you spend on it. Make yourself do it. Make yourself do something different. Or you could, in the other parts of your life, change something up. You don't have to change up the thing. You could change up other parts of your life and you'll realize that it does change the thing. In order to stay happy with anything that is a regular part of your life, you have to continue to invite newness into it. And that takes some work. But it doesn't have to feel like work. It should feel like play. Ask yourself what new anything you can bring into the situation. Let's say it's a relationship. Let's say you love somebody very much. You've been with them for years and you feel like you've talked about everything you could talk about. You've done all the things you could do. Maybe they're predictable. Maybe you know how they're going to respond to whatever you do. You guys have such a good flow that every day feels the same. And you care, but maybe you're not as excited as you used to be. Be the one to change something up. Do something that you wouldn't normally do on purpose. Go somewhere you wouldn't normally go. Ask a question you wouldn't normally ask. Cook a meal you wouldn't normally make. The thing is, the things that are old to you, the things that are lacking newness or spark or novelty, it really says just as much about you. It really kind of says you're bringing the same thing to it. You've no longer, or you've ceased to approach that relationship creatively, and that's why it doesn't feel new. Challenge yourself to prod for newness. People especially are infinite. Nobody is static. Nobody is set in stone. People want to change. Nature is change. People are changing. If it doesn't seem like they're changing, maybe you're not giving them room to change. Maybe they're stuck because you refuse to see them any differently than you did yesterday. You are so much of why the things in your life feel dry. I'm saying that to myself, particularly right now. You have to be willing to do the thing differently than you did yesterday if you want it to feel new and exciting again. If you're in the place where it doesn't feel that way, which I very much was in this morning when it comes to music. I thought, I've been doing everything right and nothing happens. Well, I need to do it with somebody new, which I ended up doing today, and it was good. You need to do it somewhere else. It's probably very true. I think another place would probably nurture my music better, maybe, or differently at least. I need to show it to somebody different. I need to change my workflow. I need to try a different genre. I need to maybe care about it less, maybe spend less time on it. Maybe even set it down for a bit. There's so many options, but I do, because that thing is starting to feel old to me, I have the responsibility, if I care about the thing, which I do very deeply. If I care, but it's boring, or I feel stuck, I have the responsibility of digging in and finding a new way to approach the thing, a new way to see the thing, a new way to talk about the thing, a new way to interact with it. That is my responsibility. Things you shouldn't expect everything around you to be putting in the work to always be interesting and new and fresh to you. Why don't you be the surprise? Why don't you be that spark? Why don't you be that burst of creative, fresh air to something or someone else. That's a choice you can make every day. That's a choice that will make you a more interesting person and will make your life that you're experiencing more interesting as well. That's all I have to say.